Yeah, there's been a lot of talk lately about the satellite camps. Could you give your opinion of the ban and what effect it will have?
I don't know. I just hate to see, the biggest thing that I didn't realize that was part of it is that now the MAC schools can't come here. And I mean, probably hundreds of scholarships have come out of here to those young players. And I know my son's getting recruited now a little bit. And you're like, what camps do you send them to? You know, not many kids can play at Ohio State, so don't send them, or send them. And then, but now Bowling Green, they get a chance to watch him play. And once again, there's no hit on, you know, when I was at Bowling Green, come to Ohio State's camp because you get to see all these players. So I didn't realize that was part of the conversation about not, I wish they'd revisit that part of it, you know, but once again, I think sometimes there's knee-jerk reaction because people complain and all that, and I get it, I get that. You know, I think that's a slippery slope, but I'm not worried about the high level players because they're going to find a way to get where they got to get. And I'm talking about there's a big chunk of players out there that deserve to play major college football. And I think I hope they revisit it. And I'm not saying what's right or wrong because I don't really know, but if you always think first about players, just like someone told me they passed the texting rule. That's the most ignorant thing I've ever heard. You know, because they can't manage the coaches, they can't police the coaches. Okay, fire the coaches that do it. Fire them and make the penalty so absolute out of control that they won't do it. You'll never coach again in major college football if you on purpose text someone. Okay, move on to the next rule. But think about the student athlete first, and I think they need to revisit this because I did see some good stories. I read about a kid that never got a shot to play, but he went to, because he can't afford to, everything's on the player's dime right now. So it's going to be interesting how they keep revisiting that.
Urban, your answer on the recruiting stuff was so interesting. It's when the stuff came up with the travel for the families for the playoff, right? You had a very strong opinion on that, and things happened after that. How do you? I mean, you're a three-time national champion. You've been in the college game
for
a long time.
That's
How do you try to balance when you are really trying to maybe facilitate change, or versus, I mean, you're trying to run a team and run a program, you can't.
Well, that doesn't get in the way of that other stuff. Right. I said the texting thing is the most ignorant thing I've ever heard in my life.
What can you do? What can
keeps telling you guys how ignorant it is, and then always appealing to people making decisions because it's hard. You know, if they're making a decision because of coaches are upset about it, that's not the point here. Put a student athlete on that same committee and say, what do you guys think? You know, student athletes, I don't know all these, you know, I can start giving you names of committees and it's just another new committee, subcommittee this, subcommittee this, subcommittee. How many student athletes are on those? And ask them, what's your opinion of this? And listen to them. And if it's as strong as I saw where some kids are saying, I don't know, if you take away this camp, those are opportunities away from players. Well, but these coaches don't like it. So that's okay. Listen to the student athlete. What do they have to say about it? And I think we learned our lesson with the families getting to go. Of course, my question is, why wasn't that done when they first brought up the college football playoff? So whoever has that checklist, number one, student athlete, then all the other stuff about building facilities and salaries, and if the commissioner's grandchildren get to go to the championship games or not, because they all do, right? But you're telling me that the backup tight ends family can't go. It's just common sense, but why isn't that the number one thing? How does a student athlete feel about this rule? Do you really want text messages from 100 universities on your phone when you come out of school? Maybe the student athlete, the ones I know, what? No, I don't want to hear from these schools. But now you're going to get them. Some intern is going to be punching text messages on your phone, and you're going to get. And maybe you can block numbers and all that, but that's just too hard. Why? Because it's easier on coaches. Or maybe it's easier for the enforcement because they just can't, because people are doing it. I guess it just doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, it's just weird. It's like the NCAA doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but most.
And I think they're trying. This is not an anti-NCAA thing.
I understand that, but it's complicated stuff. But we can do your voice. I would imagine your voice.
I think there's a few coaches out there. I probably agree with that we don't get asked a lot, you know, which I think is kind of curious too.
Unless are you going to like literally actively try to get that rule changed that Kent State MAC schools can be at your camp like they have been? They've been coming.
When we get through spring football, then we might decide. But we got to get ready for Wednesday's practice, and I hope they reconsider it. I hope after an article one of you guys does, maybe they'll call and ask our opinion. Thanks.